The name Hitler will forever be tied to a ruler who plunged the world into the darkest period of history. But what of those who shared his name? Hitler himself never had any children, but what about his other relatives? In today's video, we will look at the fates of the Hitler family, their lives, and their legacy. It's perhaps helpful to start with Hitler's mother and father, Clara and Alois Hitler. Alois Hitler, formerly Stickelgruber, was born out of wedlock. He took the name Heidler from his stepfather, and in 1877 he legally changed his name to Heidler, although due to a mistake, their name was registered as Hitler. In 1885, the 47-year-old Alois married for the third time. This time, it was to his 24-year-old housekeeper and cousin once removed, Clara. Due to their familial relation, the couple requested permission from the Catholic Church to marry, and on the day of the wedding, the newlyweds even referred to one another as uncle and niece. The couple would go on to have 6 children together, though only 2 survived to adulthood, Paula and Adolf. Alois worked as a customs official while Clara took care of the home. Alois was noted for his stern, detached view from his family. He was prone to beat his wife and his children violently. He treated them with contempt and would barely speak to any of them. When the children were permitted to speak to Alois, he was to be addressed as a military officer. However, Clara doted on her surviving children, Adolf and Paula. Clara would do what she could to protect her children from her husband's abuses, often taking blows in place of her children. Whilst Alois demanded that Adolf follow in his footsteps, Clara was more accepting of Adolf's plans to study art. Adolf's relationship and opinions of his parents can perhaps best be summarized by his account of them in his manifesto Mein Kampf. He said, "I honored my father, I loved my mother." In 1903, Alois died from a hemorrhage in the lungs, dropping dead one morning. The family then moved to a small flat in the city of Linz, Austria. Clara allowed Hitler to drop out of school, leaving him without qualifications and setting him on the path to pursue his plans to join the Academy of Fine Arts in Vienna. The same year that Adolf moved to Vienna, his mother Clara was diagnosed with breast cancer. Despite all manner of treatments carried out by a Jewish doctor called Eduard Bloch, Clara's cancer would claim her life in December of 1907. As for Adolf's younger sister Paula, she was 7 years younger and was born in 1896. She recalls how she was never close to her brother during her childhood, and stated that Adolf was abusive just like her father, and would often slap her and was just as strict. After their mother's death, Paula didn't see Adolf until 1921. During this time, she had no idea whether he was alive or dead. From 1921 onwards, the two would meet only once a year. During their reconnection in 1921, Paula was working at a dormitory for Jewish students in Vienna, whilst Adolf was making a name for himself within the Nazi Party. The siblings would continue their detached relationship for the next 20 years, but Paula's existence was hidden from view. In 1930, Paula was fired from her job at an Austrian insurance company because of her relationship to Hitler. Paula would receive monthly money from Hitler, who was now a wealthy man and was head of the Nazi Party. At the time, this was the second biggest in the country. Paula would then take on the name Wolf rather than Hitler, and her change in identity seemed to have worked. She recalled how, when in 1940 she visited Adolf in Berlin, it turned out that she was even unknown to the Nazis' intelligence agency. During the war, she worked as a typist at a military hospital. While she never married or had any children, Paula did become engaged with Dr. Irvin Yakelius, a man who was a key figure in Action T4, which saw hundreds of thousands of disabled men, women and children murdered. In 1942, Adolf learned of Paula's relationship with the doctor and had him sent to the Eastern Front, which brought the courtship to an end. He was later captured by the Soviet Red Army. He was imprisoned in a Soviet labor camp and died in 1952 from bladder cancer. Towards the end of the war in April of 1945, Paula was taken from her home in Vienna to Hitler's Alpine retreat, the Berghof. There she remained until American soldiers captured Hitler's former residence. Paula was interrogated by American military intelligence in a bid to understand what she knew about the regime. By all accounts, she was hidden from view and was deemed to have played no part in the crimes of the Nazi regime, nor even joined the Nazi Party. But interrogators noted that she maintained a level of admiration for her brother, seeking to defend his legacy, and insisted that he was not responsible for the Holocaust. After the war, Paula settled down to a quiet life, but would later resurface in a court case that she brought. Adolf had left Paula a significant amount of money in his will, but his assets were frozen following the end of the war. She was unsuccessful in this claim, but would instead survive on the donations from former members of the SS and surviving members of the Nazi government. Paula would die on the 1st of June 1960 from stomach cancer. Whilst Paula played little to no role in Adolf's life, his half-sister Angela was allowed to be more present. Angela was born on the 28th of July 1883. Her father Alois, whilst married to his first wife, began an affair with Angela's mother. A year after being born, Angela's mother died, leaving her and her older brother Alois Jr. to be raised by Clara. Angela soon became Adolf's favourite sister. In 1903, the same year her abusive father died, Angela married her first husband, Geli Raubal. The couple had 3 children, including Hitler's favourite niece, Geli. In 1910, Angela's husband died. Over the next few years, Angela heard nothing from her brother Adolf. She worked in Vienna, running boarding houses for Jewish students. She was noted as being protective of her students, at one point fighting off an anti-Semitic mob that sought to break in with a club. It was only after the First World War that Angela and Adolf would reconnect. Following the Nazis' failed Munich putsch, where they sought to take control through force, Angela visited Hitler in prison, and following his release and rise to power, Angela and her children moved to Munich in 1925 to work as Hitler's housekeeper. 2 years later, Angela was asked to become the housekeeper at Berghof. There, Angela oversaw Adolf's food, his staff, and daily routine. But a rift soon began to form between the siblings with the arrival of Eva Braun. Angela held a deep resentment for Eva Braun. This, combined with the mysterious death of her daughter Geli, would mean Angela left the Berghof and Adolf's employment. The mysterious death of Geli we shall come to very soon. On the 18th of February 1936, Angela married a man named Martin. Adolf did not approve nor give his permission for the marriage, alienating the siblings. As the war drew to an end, Angela was driven to the Berghof. Dresden had been devastated by an Allied air raid and was threatened by the advancing Red Army. Angela and Paula were arrested by the Americans when they were captured at the Berghof, and just like Paula, she was released having played no part in the crimes of her half-brother. Like Paula, Angela would speak very highly of Adolf, claiming that he knew nothing about the Holocaust and the crimes of his regime. On the 30th of October 1949, she died following a stroke. Perhaps the most disturbing relationship Adolf had with his family was with Geli, his niece by his half-sister Angela. Geli was born on the 4th of June 1908. She grew up in the city of Linz, Austria, growing up during the First World War. When she was 17, she moved with her mother to Munich to be closer to her uncle Adolf. By all accounts, Adolf was immediately besotted by Geli. The exact nature of Adolf's feelings for Geli is subject to much historical debate. Some saw it as an infatuation, an obsessive relationship, or even a deviant sexual fixation. Plenty of accounts detail how beautiful Geli was, and she seemed to relish the attention. Adolf, called Uncle Alf by Geli, would take Geli on trips around Munich and arranged for her own apartment right next to his own. But soon enough, she was sharing Adolf's apartment in Munich while she studied medicine at university. Over time, Geli's life became increasingly monitored by Adolf. He had remarked to Heinrich Hoffmann, his personal and political photographer, that he had hoped to marry Geli, though instead chose to remain single as part of his political image. But instead of marrying Geli, he told Hoffmann he had the right to influence her life and ensure that she found the right man. Much has been said of Hitler's jealousy of the many men who flirted with Geli, but Geli was also reportedly jealous of Eva Braun, Hitler's future wife. The 17-year-old Eva Braun, who Hitler met through his photographer, was given the same treatment that Geli had received when she first moved to Munich. Over time, Geli's life was that of confinement and close monitoring, with Hitler taking away some of her freedoms. But before too long, Geli began a relationship with Emil Maurice, Hitler's chauffeur and a member of the inner circle. Rumours of her engagement to Emil would see him pushed out, his pay frozen, and his temporary departure from the Nazi Party. Other rumours began to pop up as Geli drifted apart from Adolf. Geli wished to return to Vienna to begin a career as a singer, though sadly this would never come to pass. On the morning of the 19th of September 1931, Geli's body was found in Hitler's Munich apartment. The cause of death was a bullet wound to the chest. Hitler had, the night before, departed for a trip to Hamburg, but before the police were brought to the apartment, high-ranking Nazis held an emergency damage control meeting. When Hitler was told about Geli's death, he reportedly entered into a depression and a deep mourning. Geli's body was quickly examined. The examination was quickly carried out, and an investigation into her death was quashed by Nazi-sympathizing officials in the Bavarian Ministry for Justice. Her body was shipped back to Vienna before the Monday papers would be able to report on the scandal. Stories soon abounded that the night before, Hitler and Geli got into an intense argument, leading her to take her own life. Others even suggested that Hitler himself had pulled the trigger and had fled to avoid suspicion. After a rejection of the speculation was published and after all the facts had been reported, the scandal soon died down. But one journalist by the name of Fritz Gerlich did not let the story go. But Fritz was not able to publish his claims, as he was shortly arrested after the Nazis took power in March of 1933. During his arrest, his manuscripts were destroyed, and Fritz was sent to the Dachau concentration camp. On the night of the Long Knives, on the 30th of June 1934, he was executed as he was deemed a threat to the regime. Geli's life and death deserve a video of their own, but her story is truly a disturbing one. From her strange relationship with her uncle to her mysterious death, Geli will remain arguably the member of Hitler's family with the biggest impact. But not all of Hitler's family aligned with his political views or had a close relationship. William Patrick Hitler was the son of Alois Hitler Jr., Adolf's half-brother. William was born in Liverpool, England on the 12th of March 1911. Alois Jr. had fled Austria to avoid conscription. Whilst working as a kitchen porter in Dublin, he met a woman named Bridget Dowling, and the couple married in 1910. But the marriage didn't last long, with Alois Jr. following in his abusive father's footsteps, eventually moving back to Germany in 1914. William was raised by his mother, and by 18 years old he was in London, training to become an accountant. But his surname would cause him to lose employment as Adolf rose to power. In 1933, William was encouraged by his mother to move to Germany to benefit from his uncle Adolf's rise to power. For a time, William worked as a car salesman, using his name to garner favours and attention from women. At one point, William was arrested for having a fake ID, refusing to believe that he was related to the Führer. William remained in Germany until 1939, emulating his uncle's appearance and his mannerisms. On multiple occasions, William sought to blackmail his uncle for better jobs and money for his mother, threatening to reveal embarrassing stories to the press. But William would leave Germany when he was asked to relinquish his British passport in exchange for a high-ranking position within the Nazi regime. He feared that this was a trap, and so William fled to the United States with his mother. But he would continue to seek to embarrass his uncle. He gave an interview to Life magazine titled, "Why I Hate My Uncle." He would tour the United States giving lectures about the Nazi high command, revealing secrets of sexual deviancy and the madness of high-ranking Nazis. On the 6th of March 1944, William joined the US Navy, where he served at a hospital. After the war, William changed his surname to Stuart Houston, and he married a woman by the name of Phyllis. The couple had 4 sons, and their first being oddly named Alexander Adolf Stuart Houston. All 4 of his sons refused to have children of their own, entering into an agreement to ensure that there would be as few possible descendants and relatives of Adolf Hitler. William died on the 14th of July 1987. There are also those who claim to be his direct descendant. One infamous example is Romana Lucas Hitler, who claimed to be Adolf's nephew. He claimed that his father was the grandson of Adolf Hitler's father, Alois's younger brother. Or more simply put, he was Adolf's nephew. In 2019, he was convicted of inappropriate conduct with a 13-year-old girl. He died on the 22nd of June 2022. These are just some of the notable relatives of Adolf Hitler. Whether they were denied access completely, received little attention, or were the object of his desires, all played a role as relatives to one of the most infamous people in all of human history.